My name is Nora. I come from New York, in the United States. My major is meteorology, so I study the weather. I'm here in Taiwan studying Chinese for the summer.
So I'm Sam Hathaway. I'm coming from Scotland, and I was just here for the summer Chinese program, and I'm going back to Scotland soon to continue reading. My degree over there is Chinese and Spanish.
My name is Naima. I am from England. I live in Sheffield in the UK. My major is philosophy. I'm just in Taiwan for one summer. I'm studying Chinese, and then I'm returning to the UK next week.
Okay, one thing I noticed maybe is that you guys don't have any garbage cans anywhere. Like in New York, there's garbage cans and like benches everywhere. And here, like I guess you guys don't eat while you're walking, and we always do that in the States. There's like garbage cans everywhere.
We usually bring the garbage home or back.
Right. That was a culture shock.
Yeah,
They
You
get
guys-
used to it.
I have, yeah. By now, I just put it in my backpack.
But like one of the things I really appreciate here is just how little rubbish there is. In the UK, it is so common to just chuck your rubbish on the side of the road or something. But here, there's none of that. You walk around and everywhere is just so clean. And it's really nice to see.
Generally, the food is very different. I would say the food here is objectively better.
And in terms of food, there's so much more variety here. There's like a whole lot of ingredients which aren't really used in Europe or in Scotland. So spices, for example. But you know the stereotypes of British food.
Or your communication style. You guys are very direct with your communication. And I mean, New York is kind of similar in that way, where we're very direct. I don't know if you guys have ever been, but very direct in communication. But other places in the States people are overly polite and don't want to step on toes. I think I'm here at kind of an interesting time for you guys because I've seen a lot of protests and everything, but it's all very respectful. There's always like police escorts and everybody's even in the protests it's very peaceful. You guys are very courteous. I think like in like the metro station, like at the MRT, everybody's very quiet, very courteous. Like in public spaces, everybody's very quiet.
You are more active there.
Yeah, we do. There's always
Like to answer questions.
right. Yeah, and people are very helpful here. I feel like if I ever look lost, everybody's always like coming up to ask me if I need help, which is really nice.
Then communication style as well. It's everything here is much more respectful. I feel like, and I feel like in the UK and Scotland, people are a bit more blunt sometimes. They're a bit more forward with everything. Attitude towards authority, a great question. I feel like in the UK there's a lot of freedom as such to criticize, to protest, to do this sort of thing. I don't know, it's like rules are generally seen as more of a guideline than something to be stuck to strictly, which probably is a really bad attitude, admittedly.
Do you mean like you won't say like what you really mean? I think that British people do that to it. Like don't say exactly what they mean all the time. I think one cultural difference that I did notice that was like a moment is I went to a language exchange and there was a Chinese girl there and a guy from her university who had already graduated came. And when he came over and she found out that he was from her university, which but had already graduated, she was like, oh my God, now I feel really nervous to talk to you. And to me, this seemed like a big cultural difference because I feel like British people would never tell somebody that they feel nervous to talk to them. They would see that as very embarrassing. And it was interesting, to me to see that was her reaction to feeling awkward instead of like, I'm not hide my awkwardness.
That is has some reason about this because so MCI we are here is very popular about MCI neutral. So sometimes when you are conversation with someone, they will say, "Oh, I'm the fine person," and that is me. I'm the neutral. Yeah. So that is our culture.
actually like the cultural orientation. I think when you first come here, there are certain things that you guys are accustomed to, like courtesies that you guys have that a lot of foreigners are not used to. And I feel like just to fit into your guys' society a little bit better, a little more seamlessly, I think there could just be like students giving us like some pointers. You know what I mean?
For me, coming from Europe, where we speak English, we speak Chinese, getting used to that is really difficult. But then the difference is that I was came here to that Chinese in the first place, so it wasn't as much of a scary thing for me, I guess. Cultural orientation, there's so many cultural differences between the two places. And there's some things which I guess are permissible in Scotland, which would be here, I guess, like littering and that sort of thing. But then I feel like you can pick it up quick enough. Academic guidance is, I imagine the way that assessments are done here is very different from the UK. And so getting used to these different criteria or different ways of making work, making it good.
Do you have a lot of examples of things?
Here, yeah, I did. There was, 13 chapters over 12 weeks or something like that. And everyone had like 2 vocab tests. And there was also a whole lot of like finals and end of class tests and stuff. It was much more intensive than I was expecting, but I was able to get the hang of it pretty quickly.
So challenge. You got any challenge?
Yeah, I loved it so much. It was so much fun. And it was like, yeah, that's just an hour and I'm almost sad to be saying goodbye. It's like, oh, that's not it. It's good fun.
I guess social integration activities as well. Like I've gone to this one language exchange a few times, but I would say most of the socializing I did takes place with international people, other than Chinese people. Probably because I am not very good at Chinese yet.
I think about Chinese is very hard to learn. It's really different. And so, if you think about language support this as classmates, how about some class or some provisions, that courses and what they talking about.
That would be really nice.
I think our students given this opportunity for us to help such workers using companies or getting to
in the United States, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in my high school, we studied Romeo and Juliet and Hamlet, but we spent the most time on Romeo and Juliet, and we read it and then watched the screenplay. Yeah, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's important because especially in an English-speaking country, it's influenced so much of the other literature that we've had. It's, at least for me, it's very interesting to see where a lot of our like genres, literary genres come from.
For me, I think about the most impressive about the Romeo and Juliet come from the Taylor Swift love story. Yeah.
Right.
Romeo, take me.
This is true. That's where everybody, like all my classmates, had heard of it from. Yeah. That's awesome.
Do you like the Taylor Swift?
Do I like Taylor Swift?
About her usually writing some literature, and it's coming from the Shakespeare or a lot of the writing skill. Do you like her skill and about some literature?
I do actually. Yeah, I think she's a very talented lyricist in that she always incorporates like old literature like this, and she does it in a really creative way. And so yeah, I think she does a really good job. Like there are ways you can do it poorly, you know what I mean? Like there are ways you can mess it up, but I think she does it well.
Yeah, I like her too. I'm a Swifties.
You can Swifties. That's great. Fellow Swifties.
So I did English literature in my last year of high school, my last couple of years, and it was my favorite subject. I loved it so much. The play of Shakespeare that we did was The Tempest, which isn't one of these options here, unfortunately. But it was such an amazing play to study. I feel like so much of the themes and what the play's about is still so relevant today. There's all of the questions about integration, social integration, about like immigration and that sort of colonialism as well. There's so many different perspectives and interpretations of the play which have evolved throughout time. And yeah, it's crazy to think that something written like what 400 years ago is still so relevant today. And yeah, I must say that one of my favourite school trips I've ever went on was when we went down to Stratford-upon-Avon, which is the town where Shakespeare was born when he lived as well. And we were able to see 2 Shakespeare plays performed in the Royal Shakespeare Company, like on that stage. And to see Shakespeare being performed today in like this world, surrounded by all of this like amazing development in society, and to hear this Shakespearean language being rattled off really comfortably, really fluidly, just made everything feel so much more real. Like in class, I always learned that Shakespeare had such a massive impact on society, but I never understood that fully until I saw Shakespeare being performed live. And it was an incredible experience.
Have you ever played for drama, adapt to the Shakespeare?
I've done a couple of plays in school, and I do love acting. I enjoy it so much, but I've never had the pleasure or the challenge, depending on how you see it, of bringing one of Shakespeare's works to life. And it's something I would love to try and do, but obviously it seems really, really difficult to do as well. But I would love to. I'd be very much interested in doing so.
If you have an opportunity to challenge like play which character play
Oh my goodness. Wow, what a question. If I'm looking at Tempest as a thing, I think to bring Caliban to life would be such an amazing experience. I'm not sure how familiar you are with it. Caliban's like seen as a savage. He's seen as somebody who's enslaved by Prospero, the main character and such. And he's somewhat deformed, got animalistic qualities. And it would be so interesting to bring that pain and that torment that he's in, and also see how he grows and changes as a character, and just bring that to life on stage. It's, I don't know, it's like, I think that acting gives such an amazing and really interesting and challenging lens into what people live like nowadays, and it's people that you never really thought of, the struggles of their life, for example. And yeah, to be somebody who is disabled or like not fully human, so to say, depending on how you see the text, is an amazing experience. It would allow for a lot of personal reflection as well.
I studied Macbeth when I was 14 to 16. We did it for our GCSEs, which is our like first, second exams in secondary school. I did find it interesting. I found it interesting more so than studying the text itself. I found it interesting learning as a context. I do think that potentially Shakespeare is given like too much space in the British curriculum, because I think that English lessons in school should be about getting kids excited about reading. And I think that the language in Shakespeare is very hard for native English speakers even to access. And I think that puts a lot of people off. And so whether I think it should be a text given so much priority, like we have English lessons, I think 4 days out of 5 a week, and this for 1 hour a day. But it's a lot of time, and I think maybe that time would be better spent doing something else. And yeah, books that get more excited and maybe continue at an older age could then study books.
From Scotland. Scotland.
可以吗？
可以，UK 啊。
可以。